You are listening to I Am Refocused Radio with your host, Shamaya Reed. This show is designed to inspire you to live your purpose and regain your focus. And now, here's your host, Shamaya Reed.
Welcome back to I Am Refocused Radio. You probably wonder why I have the giggles today. Well, it's been an amazing busy week. I know you all are doing well, and if you're in San Antonio, it's about that fiesta time, so y'all have some fun. But we're gonna have some fun right here, right now, with our special guest, Becca Eve Young. She is a former corporate strategist turned soulful storyteller and a conscious guide for the ambitious soul. And I'm gonna tell you, we have a lot of people on the show, but this one, you want to put your seatbelt on, because we got a lot of stuff going on here. She's doing a lot of great work, a lot of great things. She has rich history in her work. And she has an amazing book that you can get on Amazon. I mean, it's doing numbers. You want more information on that book, go to her website, BeccaEveYoung.com. Because first and foremost, I want to cut to the chase and just welcome Becca first to the show and say how you doing today.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you for the warm welcome and for having me. Yeah. We're already having a good time. We already have the giggles.
Right. I mean, I went country my first crack at the intro. I had to start the whole tape over. I said, no. Yeah. But I'm glad we are here, and that's what we do on the show. We have fun. So first and foremost, take us back to your own personal journey being at high-level corporate marketing, knowing how it is to be in a high-performing, cutthroat space. I mean, you know, it's all about delivery. Give us a little bit hindsight on your background.
Yeah. I mean, it's like the typical, right? Like, it's the typical societal script that I was following. You know, you do the things, you go to college, you get the next level job, then you do the manager, then you do the director. You know, like, it's the climb, right? We're all taught to do the climb and keep achieving and making more money. And so then I did that, and that wasn't enough. So then I got the MBA. And I'm like, oh, I got the MBA, you know? And so then, you know, flew out to Seattle, got, you know, a bigger job, a bigger paycheck, was flying back and forth to New York, doing branding for like Calvin Klein and bigger brands. And, yeah, it was just the next thing, right? You get it, like the next house, the next paycheck, the next box to check. Like, I was helping a company go, my last like corporate position, IPO for initial public offering for $5 billion. And I'm rolling out $12 million marketing budgets. And I got the house, the car, the marriage, like all the things. And I was miserable, completely miserable, absolutely miserable. And I'm doing all the things that society says you're supposed to do. And I'm sitting there, this is like 2019, and I'm like, I'm supposed to be happy, but the boxes ain't doing what they're supposed to be doing, you know? So it was like all those things of like all the Fortune 500 and all, like, I mean, I had the office with the kombucha on tap and the ping pong on the roof, and like, you know, we're laying around in sofas and there's a barista that'll take my order any time of the day. And I'm like, this ain't it. So that's where like my book begins. We're chatting about, it's called It's Gonna Get Messy, because it gets messy when you decide all the things that, you know, society tells you you're supposed to do will make you happy. All of a sudden you realize it's not doing it, you know?
And like you said, that book is going to get messy, and unfiltered, true story, heartbreak, healing, and reinvention. When you discovered that, you know, all right, man, this high life is not what they say it was going to be like. I mean, yeah, I got to be in the space, but like they say, it's not always what it seems to be. At what moment did you say, you know what, I need to kind of step back and reevaluate what's going on?
Yeah. I was fortunate in that the universe gave me a hand on this one, because I'm not sure I would have done it at that moment in time. But in 2019, they had sent me abroad to Mexico to work remotely for 6 months. And I was working remotely. My marriage was falling apart. the company, even though we were going IPO, I had lost 4 bosses in 4 months. I'm reporting to the CEO, like the venture capitalist team. Like, it's just like they're laying off half the department left and right. Like, it was chaos. And I was so stressed. I didn't have the Sunday scaries. I had like the every night scaries, you know, and I'm hitting snooze 12 times on my alarm clock. And so that's happening. I'm working abroad and my marriage is falling apart. My dad was diagnosed with a terminal illness. I just lost a friend to suicide, and my best guy friend. And so it's a hot mess, right? Like, it's just everything's crumbling. And I was supposed to go back to Portland April 1st, 2020. And they laid me off and half the company off literally 5 days before I was supposed to go back. And everything was in storage in Portland because I was going through a divorce. I was down in Mexico. The border shut down. The stay-at-home order from the senator or the governor of Oregon was put in place. And this was like when the news was like hazmat suits, you know, like it was hazmat suits. Everyone was terrified. Like, it was like the peak of the media. And I'm in rural Mexico in the middle of the desert on my own for the first time in my entire adult life. I've always lived with like either family or college or roommates or the former, and I had to stay. So I sheltered in place in Mexico in like a dusty ass dirt road town for 4 months on my own. And I was in like a super simple palapa, you know, like there's a bed inside, but there's like an outdoor shower, like a tiny ass sink. And really like not much else, you know, like, but for the first time in my life, for many of us, right, during 2020, like the noise shut off. I turned off the media. I could hear like my own inner knowing and wisdom again. I'm like walking in the desert. I'm washing my clothes in the stainless steel sink and like putting it out on like a line, you know, like, I burn myself making fish tacos and I go lob off an arm of aloe and slather it on. I'm just like I felt like I was living for the first time, and I had almost nothing, you know, like nothing, like no gourmet kitchen, no wolf stove, no, you know, flying to Midtown New York. Like, I was just dusty, dirty, sweaty with almost nothing. And all of a sudden I'm like everything started to click. And had I not been gifted that like pause from the universe of like, sit your booty down, we're gonna give you a timeout in the middle of the desert, and you're gonna think about life. And I was there for 4 months, turning off the media, meditating, going within, and I went back. Finally, the border opened up 4 months later, and I flew back to Portland not knowing what I would do. And I landed, and I just went to a street corner, opened up my storage pod, sold everything in 48 hours, and I went back to Mexico. And everyone's like, why are you going back to Mexico? And I'm like, there was just an inner knowing. It was like, I have to. Like, I have to. I'd never felt so like complete. Life was simple, slow, and something was calling me back south. I didn't know what, but I just knew that I had to go. So I trusted and went back. And I think if I hadn't been laid off and I hadn't had that pause, I don't know if I would have hit the eject button from kind of that corporate, you know, Fortune 500 grind when I did. You know, it was the universe giving me a hand.
When you think about burnout, especially coming from a high risk, high level, high performing, you know, demanding job, it's not like it was an easy job. You definitely had to put skin in the game. You definitely had to put your best. What was it like for you personally to understand, like, okay, this might be an opportunity for me to kind of shuffle the cards a little bit and say, you know what, maybe it's time for something new. What was that process for you, taking that that break from corporate world and kind of seeing just more to life than what I've been doing recently.
Yeah. Well, I think I was finally conscious for the first time that the pace that I had been living at, like the wake up, you get ready, you shower, you go to work. I'm there until it's dark. I get home. I numb out a little bit. Maybe I drink a bottle of wine. Maybe I have a little Netflix, and then it's like back to it. And so I'm like, it was just like the pace, like I wasn't present for any of it. And I didn't realize that until I'm in the desert. I don't have anywhere to go. I don't have anything to do. It's just me. And I was like, I realized how much I had been rushing through life. And I realized what burnout really feels like, because I'm in the desert having my cup of coffee, and I'm like having my cup of coffee, like I'm smelling it, I'm present with it, like I'm tasting it. I'm like, this is like the best cup of coffee ever. And I had the fancy barista on tap and everything at work. And I'm like, I don't know, I probably had 4 or 5 cups of coffee a day just to like stay present for nonstop meetings. And I'm like, I really wasn't present for any of it. And I didn't know that. Like, I didn't know that at the time. And all I was doing in that burnout was just doing what you're told to do, right? Like, if you get the better job, the next title, the next house, the next thing, that's going to fulfill you. And none of that can fulfill you. And I think I realized, like, with everything slowing down, the simple beauty of the everyday, like the sunrise, the breeze through your hair. Like, I was like, ooh, I'm like, I've been sitting in fluorescent lights 8 hours a day. And just to reconnect with nature and just reconnect with yourself and the slowness. And I'm like, wow, this is the simplest living environment I've ever had. I really don't have anything possession-wise at the moment where, like everything had been sold or stored or everything else. And I was like, I could feel in my soul how content I was. It was like a visceral knowing in my body. And I'm like, I haven't felt that ever in my attainment of all the houses I'd ever bought, the cars I had, the wardrobe, the trips, the dinners. Here's a $10,000 bottle of wine at dinner in Vegas. Like, did I feel any of that in that simple cup of coffee on my palapa roof as the breeze went through my hair and I just felt centered? Yeah, sorry, I just went to my happy place there. But just the what really mattered in life, it was just the pause that I needed to just realize that no one tells you that, right? Like, we're just bombarded with the media narrative that you're never enough. You're not pretty enough. You're not smart enough. You don't have the right possessions. Like, you're constantly told you're not enough. You're constantly told you have to buy something to make yourself complete somehow. And what I stopped listening to the outside narrative, literally turned the TV off for 4 months and refused to participate in the fear mongering. I was like, wow, I'm super happy with just very, very little. And I realized the script that I had been following was not my script. I think a lot of people feel that way, So I didn't know I was in burnout crash down until I got put the mask on. I'm like, oh, it's like I can breathe. I'm like, I didn't know I was gasping for air the whole time.
Trying to help everybody else breathe.
Yeah, just breathe. So it was just the pause. It was the quiet, that internal reflection where you're not looking for answers outside of yourself and you're just looking at what feels right internally. And we just, we don't do that enough. And that's where the biggest guidance system, the biggest compass we all have is that inner voice that each one of us is connected to.
And speaking of connection and compass, you say there's a big difference between surrender and collapse. When you think about your own personal experience, reclaiming your own power, how are we able to do that without losing your soul in the process and just staying true to what you wanted to explore?
Yeah. Oh, that's a deep question. I mean, for me, I guess I had a very like special experience, which is what spurred me to write the book, because I think I was in collapse. The fear of losing everything, the job, the title, the getting laid off, my dad was like dying and all the things. And I was in collapse, and I had been raised in a very spiritual household, very religious household, which of course made me not want to become religious or have any sort of faith whatsoever, as it, kind of does when you get it pushed upon you. But in that quiet, in that solitude, I had a lot of people, giving me like the right books. Alchemist is always a great one. Eckhart Tolle, Power of Now, that type of reading. And it wasn't until I started to like feel something a little bit higher than myself that I understood what surrender meant, which is realizing, like you're not totally, my view is you're not really in control, and there is a greater, higher, whatever you want to call it, higher self, God, universe, whatever, like that we all give labels to, that's guiding this experience. And when you surrender to that, there's a piece to that, right? Like there's a piece in knowing like, okay, I'm good. We've got you, but you're going to have to surrender to knowing that there's something greater at play here. And I didn't have that belief. But 30 days after my dad passed, I was still back in Mexico, and he didn't make it. This was the end of 2020, the fall. And I was on the beach in Mexico, and I just asked, like, of my entire being, I was at like just a cacao evening. Anyway, I just said, Dad, if you're out there, show me. And he came to me on the beach. I felt his hand brush my hair behind my ear. And next thing you know, I was out of my body and with him, and we were light in this like infinite sea of darkness, but not dark in the way you think of dark. It's just, it was just pure love. And it was as real as anything I've ever experienced. And I'm like, is this what we are? And he's like, yeah. He's like, aren't we so beautiful? He's like, I'm so happy. He's like, I'm so complete. I'm so home. And I'm like, could I stay? Was the only question I had. And then I came right back into my body, felt myself come back in, and I was like, oh, this is a drag from where we all come from. And in that moment, the meat suit, the fucking meat suit, excuse my language, the meat suit up. And I'm like, oh, this is like going from like an intergalactic spaceship to like the first version of the bicycle without seats or shocks. Like, it's just like, oh man. But what became clear in that moment is that we're all part of that where he took me to. He's more alive than he ever was in this existence. And that's when I learned to just surrender to like the adventure, and that we are here. Like, it's not about happiness. It's not about attaining the next thing. It's just to really be present for the experience of being in the meat suit and being human and having the heartbreak and success. But it just made me realize how little is required for success and how much fulfillment there is in just the beauty of the day to day, and just surrendering to that higher force that we're all come from and go back to.
Once again, you listen to Refocus Radio, watching us online, talking to our guest today, Becca Eve Young. Go to her website, BeccaEveYoung.com. Almost let that country twang slip out a little bit. But I don't know, maybe it's that Texas thing. I've been here for so long, it's just rubbing off on me. But you now coach a ton of founders and creatives on building a business and actually helping them feel like you just kind of explained moments ago, if I can put it that way, feel at home. Like there's something about the grind is the grind, but there's something about the grind being the grind, but you're okay because you're living your purpose, you're doing your mission, and you can do this like Will Smith would say. Disclaimer, if you don't know about that, he said something about if you're on the treadmill, you're going to die before I do, because that's how determined I am. And I feel like that's what happens when we are on a good grind that allows us to fulfill our purpose, because we just feel like I can do this without getting paid because this is what I like to do.
Hell yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's it, because before I was grinding, but there was fear and stress, and I didn't believe in the mission that I was, supporting. And, as an entrepreneur, and I'm sure you feel me, like, I don't know that I've ever worked. I can't even say that. Like, I've never worked harder, but like, I work at all hours, but I love what I do. And it's exactly what you're talking about. It's like, yeah, it's your purpose. It's what lights you up. It's what you're here. It's your mission to explore. And, I help coach, and guide people that were in the place I was 6 years ago, where you're like, dude, you're a beautiful human being, but this isn't what lights you up. This isn't what your soul wants you to do. And it's like, so I've built enough businesses and run enough businesses. I kind of bring, the Fortune 500 experience, but with the soul of like, okay, like I am here to help you shine. And I just want to help people, like we all have that thing that we think about, that we do where we lose time, the thing that I want to start that you just haven't done. It's like, I help those people. It's like, dude, what do you got? Like 50 summers left, 60 summers in this, simulation. Let's go. You're here to play and explore. And we're always taught to fear failure. And like, no, that's where all the learnings are. Fail shit tons, but I help people express that. And like, how do you bring that resonance to life? And how do you bring your soul mission to life? And how do I help them shine through, ditching that? It's like, we ditch the programming, we talk about their branding and marketing, and then like, how do you connect with those that you want to serve? And how do you show your unique gifts? And that's what I love doing. And so it's like, I get to mix the soul with the strategy, which is like my happy place. But I just love to help other people shine, and do what they want to do and succeed at what they want to do. So it's pretty sweet.
The thing about life, you live long enough, you don't really want to press the reset, because you're like, nah, let's just go all in at this point, because I do not want to try and go through the same thing all over again. Like, what about you? What's your thought on that? Do you have a reset button that you want to have? Or are you like, no, let's just go all in for what we got time left?
Yeah. I'd have no regrets. Like, everyone's like, did you go back to your 20s? Because like, I stayed in my marriage, maybe like, we were together for 15 years, maybe 5, 6, 7 years too long, although he would agree. And it's like, but I have no regrets. I say, just because the band breaks up doesn't mean they didn't make great music. And each perceived failure or like twist or turn in your plot is just part of the story. And you needed it for you to grow to the next level that you're at. So it's all perfect in that way. So yeah, there's no reset button needed. It's all part of your story, and it's perfect.
Once again, this on Refocus Radio, watching this online. I don't know where the time went, but apparently it flew out the window. So you have to land the plane. But we're talking to our special guest, Becca Eve Young. Go to her website, BeccaEveYoung.com, and get a copy of her book. I mean, she's already doing numbers. I mean, she's killing it right now. It's on Amazon. Is Gonna Get Messy, a unfiltered story, a true story of heartbreak, healing, and reinvention. And one last quick question on reinventing yourself, real quick, is when you see how far you came after you went through the hard work in the process of reinventing yourself, because it's easy, it's almost like a cliche, anybody can say it, but to actually do it and being that messy part, you're like, whoa. But you gotta go all in. You can't just like Michael Rappaport would say, you can't just dip your toe in and be like, nah, I'm good. You either going to stay committed and go through that process, what's something that you appreciate from yourself, being able to go through that whole process and reinventing yourself for the better?
Ooh. I think the biggest thing is self-trust, because we live, like I was kind of saying, it gets to me how much that societal script like runs our monkey mind, and we all have it. Every single one of us thinks we're the only one that worries about acceptance, success, doubt, I'm not good enough. Guess what? Everybody from, Michael Jordan to Lady Gaga to whoever, doesn't matter, celebrity, status, money, like we all have that. And you don't realize how much we live in a society where you're told that you're not good enough, all the time. Like magazines, you need to get work done. Your nose isn't right. You're too fat. You're too thin. You're too smart. You're too dumb. You don't have enough. Your house isn't good enough. Your car isn't good enough. Like it's endless. And we don't realize that that's literally playing in the background at all times at us. And so for me, and I think anybody, like to live a life that lifts you up and that you feel joyful and purposeful and everything, you got 8 billion people on the planet following one script of success when there's really 8 billion scripts of success. Because each one of us, gets me emotional, each one of us has like the unique thing that like no one else, there will never be another you. There will never be another you. And you have your unique gift and your unique story and it will never be played again. And so it's like, it was building the self-trust of like that reinvention is just self-trust. Stop asking. You can ask your friends all day for advice, but just say, okay, like the biggest thing you can do is ask the question you want to ask to somebody else, to yourself, and answer it aloud yourself. And you can feel, the answer. If you get that warm, like little warm pulse in your heart, it's like a yes. And you get that little bit of dread in your stomach and you're like, like it's a no. And you can ask that anytime you want. And we all ask externally and we all are vying for that one version, that one mountaintop, but we all have our own unique mountaintop. And if we remember that, then, fulfillment and reinvention, then you are carving your own path. And that's the magical, messy goodness of, life and carving your own way.
Yeah, if you want your life to be perfect, then be in the movie, because there's no such thing as a perfect life. There's only I guess you can say good timing, because even timing is never perfect. It's very, very slim chance that you have a perfect timing. But the thing is, like we've been talking about throughout the whole episode, is it's going to get messy. And that's the fun part, because at that part, you can really get real with yourself and put your ego out the window and say goodbye. And here's reality. And now what? What's the fun part about this? What are we going to do about it? Are we going to be motivated? Are we going to talk country in the green room and talk professional in the interview? Like life is about, in my opinion, life is about laugh as much as you can while you can. Because one day you won't be able to. Just like your loved ones, make the memories while they are still here. Because if you don't make those memories today, I heard a story, I hate to go down a rabbit hole because we're already overtime, but who cares? We love overtime. March Madness was last month. We love overtime. But I heard a story of a pastor who, he shared a very personal message before he even started the message. It was funny. I'm like, wow, you didn't even start the sermon. You got to start a sermon. It's like, wow. But he was like, I got to share something with you guys. I was always thinking about doing this and this for my mom. And something in me was like, man, you better do it now. Well, you have the chance. You better do it now. So he did what he did. He made the memory. Yeah. And then when she passed, he was like, what if I missed that moment? And that's life. Yeah. If you do everything you can to make the memory now. So in other words, if you feel burnt out, you feel like, man, this is the last straw, well, let it be the last straw and don't go back to the cup. You know what I'm saying? Go get a whole different cup. Excuse my metaphors because they're kind of wild. But go to another cup and get some brand new straws. Sound country. It's sneaking up out here. But, but it's like...
I feel it.
But it's like you got to get yourself in a space where you can create those new experiences. Go after the dream. I know that sounds so cliche, it sounds so corny, but the thing is, when you come from my humble neck of the woods, 5 regular jeans growing up, only way you saw they were different, we had different colored patches. I said that story like so many times this summer. I think people were like, okay, we get it, Shemai. But that's that creative space. You use, like you said, like you had me, I was trying not to laugh, but you had me laughing when you talking about the little sink and washing clothes. I'm just like, imagine, like, man, that had to have been frustrating, but you probably laughed it off. But that's the beauty of life when you're forced to make good of what you have left.
Yeah.
That's the magic. It's not necessarily like, oh, I made it and I got all the Benjamins, I got all this, I got all that. Like, of course that's great. Like, of course everybody wants those nice things.
Yeah.
But sometimes the 5-stripe, Adidas from Payless is just as good as the 3 stripes.
Yeah. Yes, exactly. And we forget, just to say, like, I mean, sorry to drop it like it's hot. I know that we ignore death and everything, but in 100 years, 200 years, there's nobody left here that, like your loved ones are here with you now. Like, live the life, like make the mistakes, get messy, like screw things up, but like follow what your passion and what lights you up. Like that's what, in 100 years, poof. So have fun.
No one's going to ask you any deep questions 100 years from now. I mean, they really are not. They're going to be tuning in to whoever, songs they doing. I mean, it's funny. Every generation talks about the previous generation's music and the generation, after them. And it's funny, like, oh, back in my day, music was this, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, we all going to say it. So you might as well just live.
Right.
Yeah, I know I can get some emails like, what are you rambling about? I'm like, well, you clearly went over your head. And that's okay. That's okay. We got those kind of people. Just go over their head and they're like, oh, what is he saying? What am I saying? I'm saying go to my guest website, BeccaEveYoung.com, and check out all the great things she's doing because, like I said, her book is already doing numbers and you can get a copy right now on Amazon. If I have missed my opportunity to give you space to tell our audience what they need to know, what is something I probably missed or something you want to promote and tell our audience?
Oh man, I feel like you nailed it. I mean, I've loved the conversation. You can really find everything at BeccaEveYoung.com. And I hope my story, it's a little bit excessively raw and vulnerable, but like, I'm like, if my mess helps someone else feel less alone in their mess, then that makes my day. And so that's who I wrote it for, is just to help someone else on their own path of like figuring out what to do with this one precious, messy life to like feel less alone in their journey. And I hope it continues to do that. So, yeah. Well,
you appreciate this more than anybody else would appreciate this, but this is my first episode ever where I had my country talk come out. And I didn't know I had it, man. It was like, man.
y'all, he's bringing out a different side, y'all. Your reinvention.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that'll be something to talk about. But anyway, I know everybody's like, man, go ahead and land the plane so I can get to my snacks or whatever. Well, go to unfilteredradio.com, catch this episode, but better yet, go to our guest website, BeccaEveYoung.com, and get a copy of her book. It's Gonna Get Messy, an unfiltered true story of heartbreak, healing, and reinvention. Like I always want to say to you, thank you for your time.
No, thank you for your time. It's lovely to chat with you.